So I want to talk a little bit about ho'okupu. I want to talk about what halau means. I am recording this one. Dave says we're recording this one. And the reason being, it was interesting. I got asked by a person who has been in level 4 for a while, I don't understand what halau means. And wanted some clarification on it. And I thought it would be important to have this discussion while we're up here at the volcano, while we're in Kilauea. This is for me, this is going to be an amazing opportunity for us to connect, to come together. The word halau. Ha is breath. H-A. Lau is to spread out. Like haka lau. So remember, the Hawaiians had 7 consonants, 5 vowels, and so the word was metaphorical that the breath that is of the lineage would be carried forward, that it would be spread out to more and more people. So the word halau, and ha has a ka'ako above it. Kahako is the line above the A. So H-A-L-A-U. The first A has the kahako. Halau. How interesting that the room that we're in is hale ho'omana. Halau ho'omana loa is the name of our school, of our halau. When I was alaka'i, the haumana would throw around really big words like halau and you know, ho'omana. Some people were using the word kahuna. I'm like, It was very interesting to hear them talk about that, because as a local growing up, if you have halau, it's like you have a home. Tris asked me this morning, what does ohana mean? Ohana means family. Ohana means that you have people that you can go to that will be there for you. So in a way, halau is like ohana. It's like your family. You have a place to go. My daughter, she was at the lunch table. Mitzi, this was in March, where she looked out at the group of students that were sitting there, and as a 9-year-old said, "This is the only place where I can just be me." Kim, you were there. She got teary-eyed about it. So did a couple of other adults got teary-eyed, because she was like, "This is the only place where I can just be me, where I feel free to express, where I feel a connection." And then she started assigning percentages with who she feels that way with her friends, to which then it became very 9-year-old-ish. You know, like Tiffany, I'm 33.2% myself, and Annika just 4.8%. It wasn't that chunked down, but it was kind of cute. It was like, okay, Skylar, we get the point. And she said to me later on that day, she said, "No, it's like when I'm here, I can just be me, and I can talk about these crazy things like energy, like higher self, like there's a bigger purpose to life." When I got back here from my last trip, which was on Wednesday, it was Wednesday night, and we were up at the house, and Skylar just hugged me and started crying. Just started crying. Like all this tension that she had been holding in for weeks over the summer. And she looked at me and she said, "Daddy, is this what life is like?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Wake up, eat breakfast, do the same thing over and over and over and over." And I went, "Oh shit, she's 10. She said, "Daddy, when did that hit you?" I'm like, "I was younger than you." And she goes, "How do you do it?" Not suicidal, not like I'm ready to go, just this awareness of what the fuck is the point? Any of you ever feel that way? Those of you who didn't put your hand up, all right, fine, you're enlightened. Have you ever just woken up and gone, I'm teaching another NLP class. 1, 2, 3, swish. Oh my God, a behavior changed, no shit. Could have done that with my Avaiku and energy and had lunch by now. But those students, they have to believe that they're doing something. You know what I mean? I said to her, life is better, and there's something that you can tap into, Skylar, to feel like there's more to life than just waking up, going to school, learning the next algebraic equation, going to tennis, coming home, eating dinner, going to sleep, waking up, going to school, because she's sitting there going, and the one thing I've told my kids ever since they were very young, I taught them how to remain awake. That may have been a problem. Maybe I should have let them go to sleep for a little while. Problem was I taught them how to remain awake, and so they do their best to remain awake. Ethan admits he went to sleep for a while. I let that go. He was a teenager. And both of them said to me, I need to get to Huna on Friday. Like Skylar's like, Dad, can Ethan bring me there? Ethan was like, Dad, can we sleep there and just be in this environment for the opening weekend and the closing weekend? Because they don't have a break. They have school. That to me is Halau. That to me is what we have. That even my kids sit there and go, I want to be in it. I need to be here because it reminds me of who I am and that there's more to life than just doing the next thing and doing the next thing and doing the next thing. And so a big theme that I've heard from you guys with questions that have come in, and a big part of the reason why we're up here at Volcano is to help find a stronger foundation, to help you strengthen your papa, to strengthen your foundation so that you can build more on top of it. Coming up here to Volcano is to help you find a little bit more about who you are through connecting with what we have outside, where we are. When Ethan was 10, 8 years ago, Kumu and I brought him up here to help him find himself, to help him find some foundation. We did the things like go look at the Jagger Museum, and we ate, I think, at Ken's Pancake House, because everyone needs to eat at Ken's Pancake House, apparently. Once. It's horrible. Yeah, it's terrible. Annabelle, you don't need to go. Ethan loves it, though. Ethan loves it. Had to eat there. He had to do those things. And we brought him up here and helped him to connect, helped him to become pono with who he is. We start off with a ho'okupu. So if you guys ever come here without me, if you ever get to Huna early and you feel compelled to come up to the volcano, which I know some of you do, some of you go to Pu'uhonua, some of you come all the way out here to Volcano. Where we went to today and put the offering down, that's where you need to go. That's where you need to go. You need to go and say your respect. So when you first arrive, I need to explain to you protocol. Whichever direction you're coming from, there is a stone wall that says Volcano National Park. Those walls aren't just randomly placed. Uncle explained to me when we were driving up here, that's kind of like where you're entering her house, Pele's house. So I was taught, and Kumu Etua talked about this when we did a field trip over in Puna. So when you see that wall, you let off the accelerator, you slow down, and you just say aloha. Bless you. That's okay. Sachiko's like, oh my God, my sneeze will forever be on the recording. It's okay, Sachiko. We're not Facebook Live. No one's going to vote against this. You slow down a little bit and you say aloha. Kumu always says aloha tutu. Tutu is like saying grandma. Some people say aloha pele. Some people just say aloha. And it's the act of slowing down. It's the act of slowing down a little bit and just paying your respect that you are here inside a volcano. On Friday next week, when we bring the entire workshop up here, I will get here first. And even if you get here around the same time, you won't see me at the visitor center because I'll be right back where we just were, putting a tea leaf down, ala'i, and saying aloha. This is what I did when I arrived here on Sunday. On Sunday, I arrived and I stood there, and Tristan and I stood there until it cleared and I could see Hale Ma'u Ma'u. When we first got there, it was extremely cloudy. You couldn't see anything. The clouds had rolled in big time. And so we stood there for a while. I saw 8 Koa'ikea volcano birds, beautiful mist, and then it just cleared and it opened up to Hale Ma'u Ma'u. So the entire crater is called Kilauea. That's the entire crater. So where you had breakfast is on one edge, and everything that you see, including that little hole where the steam is coming out, that is one big crater. That's the crater that we used to walk. That was 10 years ago, but they closed it because of sulfur. That's where we used to walk. And then the hole that you see in Kilauea, which is under the museum, that is called Hale Ma'u Ma'u. That is where Pele is believed to live, right there in that hole. It is now open, and you can actually see red at night. I went there last night to take a look because I went to all the sites that I plan on taking you guys to. We did 1 so far. So there's 3 more, but we'll either do 2 or 3, always depending on weather. And then we'll have class in here as well. And so you go to Kilauea Overlook, not to the museum, even though that is closer, but you go to Kilauea Overlook because of where the direction that you're facing, how you're looking down to the crater, and you pay your respect. You always come with a tea leaf. If you stop by one of the stores, you can get ava, and you can wrap ava in the tea leaf. And you leave that, and you pay your respects, and you set your intention. You set your intention. When you go to Rome, people talk about these monuments and they talk about the gods and goddesses in the past tense. This is where they worshiped. This is what they believed, past tense. When you go to Greece, it's the same thing. They don't talk about this is where Zeus lives. This is where they believed that you have to understand that where you are right now, it's present tense. And even if it's just people believing it, that amount of energy focused in on this spot, there are millions of people around the planet that have either visited here or who have lived here or whose lineage comes from here, and they speak of everything in present tense. It's the volcano. That's where Pele lives, not that's where they thought no. It's present tense. So you have to understand that where you are is like walking into the most sacred Christian church, most sacred Catholic church, Muslim mosque, you name it. You're walking into a space that is believed to be active. Now, all of you guys wouldn't be in level 4 if there wasn't some level of belief with regards to the connection to the energy and what you feel and how it empowers your path. Our lineage does not come from this side. Our lineage does not come from this district. It comes from Kona. Our lineage comes from Kona. and the people that came before us would routinely come up here to the volcano. When Skylar was in 5th grade last year, we came up here to the volcano, and there was I shared this story in March, but I know not all of you were here in March. There was a guy that was there with the group and Hawaiian ancestry whose lineage was not allowed to come to the volcano unless there was an invitation from the people that were here. It wasn't pono for him from a bloodline. He is of Hawaiian ancestry, and he did not want to be here at all. He was mumbling under his breath. Really, really big Hawaiian guy that I had gotten into rapport with on the 4th grade field trip. And for whatever reason, I don't even know how, I think it was because he was talking to Skylar a little bit, figured out what I do. Saw beyond the color of my skin, and we had some pretty deep discussions. And I shared with him, here's who I studied with. Everyone knows who Uncle George is, you know, who Etua, people from that side, that Skylar had danced hula. He even asked about the workshops, went online, checked them out and everything. When I would see him, he would always just be like, aloha, give me a big hug. His wife, amazing. His son is in the same grade that Skylar is in. Really good boy. And this guy was not wanting to be up here. And we were staying in the volcano. We were staying in the housing inside the volcano. So he was pacing. And the weather was looking horrible, and he and his wife were going to be making dinner, and we were outside, and he was looking around, and he was like, this is not right. This is not pono. I am not supposed to be here. And then he looked at me, and he goes, your daughter, what has this school done? Have they put an offering out? Have they done this? Have they? I'm like, this guy knows protocol. I mean, he's running down the list of, has anyone chanted? Has anyone done any of these things before opening up this site? No. And he looked at me and he's like, what do we do about it? I'm like, well, And he said, with your lineage, he said, my boy, Hawaiian lineage, not supposed to be here. And then he named another boy who's related to the princess, Abigail Kuananakoa. And he's like, so we have a kid whose bloodline is Ali'i. We have my son who's not supposed to be here, your daughter, and you, and we haven't even done a single thing protocol-wise. And I'm like, I got it. I got Ava in my car. He said, you going to take care of this for me? I'm like, yep. He said, I'm not going to sleep for the next 3 days. So I took those 3 kids, found some la'i, some tea leaf, wrapped up some Ava, and just did what we just did. Had the kids stand there. One of them, poor kid, Uncle, what am I doing? Shh, intention. Okay. Mm-hmm. Looking at me. I'm chanting. Well, put the Ava down. By the time we got up to where they were cooking, it was blue skies. And everything was pono, just because of a simple intention, just because of a simple, put that energy out there. This guy has no filter on his mouth, unfortunately. Now every parent knows what I do. Because any of the locals that were like, wow, I've never seen it so clear up here at the volcano. He's like, thank the white guy. He should be doing chants for every single place we're going to. And I'm just sitting here going, shh, please, quiet. And he asked me, he said, what did you do? And I said, it was so simple. It's, no one takes the time to do this stuff. You guys are a part of Halau. You don't have a choice. As Uncle George explained to me, as Auntie Bernie explained to me, as Etua, you don't have a choice. If you did, you wouldn't be here. Meaning on some level, you know you need to be here and that this is your halau. When you come to these places, in fact, chunk up every sacred site that I go to, whether it's in Italy, Washington, D.C. When I went to the oldest pub in England, I put an intention out there before walking in because that's a sacred site to the British. It's a pub. Yeah. And the oldest one. Well, you could smell the spirits still drinking. I know someone from the 1400s was sitting next to me drinking. God, it was scary in there. It was. It smelt of the plague. They hadn't cleaned it since the Black Plague, I don't think. Ian McDermott took me and my dad there. That was a long time ago. But even then, I understood you set intention. One of the things that you need to be doing every morning, that we're gonna be going over, what are things that you can practice on a daily basis? What are things that you can practice on a daily basis in order to be living this stuff? In order to be living it. Not thinking you're living it, not speaking like you're living it, but actually living it. And it's you need to set intentions with the sunrise. If you do not wake up in time for the sunrise, just pretend you did. I set my alarm at 5 a.m. this morning. I routinely, especially if there's something important to do, will set my alarm before Triss's alarm goes off and lay in bed for almost 30 minutes, setting intentions. Occasionally I fall back to sleep. I won't act like I just jump into meditation. And for the most part, I lie there and set intentions. Today was a big day. So I set intentions. What is my intention for today? What is my intention for Halau? What are all of the things that I want to experience today? Even if you just take a minute to do that, what a difference your day makes, as opposed to rolling over and checking your email. Then your intention is work all day. But if you do that, accept that you're going to work all day, because that's the first energy. That's ho'opuka. You guys learned that chant. You learned that chant in level 1. Ho'opuka, ekala ma kahikina. We are very close to where we are seeing it. Sammy's writing it on ho'opuka. It's to set the intention, right? It's the first light of the day. So I don't care if you wake up before the sun goes up. Like sometimes I have to wake up so early and work out in the dark. But the moment I see first light, while I'm working out, I stop and I set an intention. If I wake up and the sun is already up because I've been traveling and I wanted to sleep in, which I have done, I set an intention. So intention setting in the morning, ho'oponopono every night. You connect your ritual to an occurrence. When you do that, you are more likely to remember. You connect your ritual to an occurrence, like new moon, full moon. So that way, when it happens, you are triggered like an anchor to remember, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. So the ho'okupu that I made was an intention not just for us, but for the entire workshop. But mainly for us, because we'll go there again on Friday, and I will make another one. Each of the foods that are put in there have a representation, and you can also do dream interpretation for what the food represents to you. So banana is the sweetness in life. A potato, can someone tell me what they think a potato might do? And a root, what was that, Dan? Grounding of the earth. What about smoked fish? Fire. Sweet potato that's purple, what might that be? What was that? Yummy? Yummy. Yummy. Keave. No. Wait, what was the other one that we put in there? Ulu, breadfruit. Can be, there's a little bit of like water element to me in that, but also what does the food do? What did it represent culturally? You can take a look at as well. Yeah, you feed a family. In the Polynesian culture, if you had a breadfruit tree, you would feed your family. You'll never go hungry. Because depending on when you pick it and when you eat it and how you prepare it, it can be protein, there are certain enzymes in it. It's a very, very important food. And so What you put into the ho'okupu, what you put into the offering, metaphorically represents energies that you are asking to connect up with, and then you put an intention into each of the foods. So it's not just fire. Remember, level 1 material, elements need an intention. Not just fire. Why are you flowing fire to someone? If you're flowing fire to dissolve the baggage, you have to say to dissolve the baggage. So with each of the foods, I did want to slow it down, and the weather was going like, I'm going to rain, I'm not going to rain, I'm going to rain, I'm not. So I took it seriously. And how neat, yeah, right as we put together the offering, a beam of sunlight hit the ho'okupu. That's a good sign. We may have a little bit of rain, and it's okay. That's a good sign that that hit. With each food, though, as quickly as we were moving, I didn't just go, ooh, ahi, fire. No. What's the intention? That we tap into a nice, smooth fire in order to dissolve any baggage that we have, and that we connect to the spiritual fire to help inspire us. That was my intention with the ahi. Kalo, which they make the poi out of, so that while we connect with spirit, that we also remain grounded. We have 1 foot in matter, and we have 1 foot in spirit. If we lose footing on either side, we go to sleep. I've known spiritual people that go bye-bye. You guys ever met someone who's so spiritual that they don't exist anymore? Like, you know that there's a body in front of you, but yet they're so gone because they have no more energy in matter. They have no energy in the physical realm. So when I put the kalo in, I put it in there as a harmony, as a balancer, because we have 1 foot in spirit and we have 1 foot in matter, and there needs to be a balance. We're relying on both. Lose your footing on one side and you're falling over. I put the breadfruit in, and my first thought was, I want this workshop to feed the haumanna. They call it breadfruit, ulu. I want it to feed and nourish them, just like the ulu tree. Put the Okinawan sweet potato in there because of the connection to Keawe, to Kane, which is our halau traces its roots back to the order of Kane, of a balanced system. And then the banana in just to tease you guys because you're on kapu. Kim's like, I got a bite. That'll get me through the next week and a half. Banana is also lono. Banana is consciousness, mind. And so, you know, in the workshops, we have a lot of lessons, a lot of learning. So when I put that in there, my thinking was to awaken consciousness, to awaken the mind, to help students absorb the information and to hear it.
What's the Hawaiian word for the sweet potato?
Uala. Okina A-L-A. Uala. And then there were so many varieties of banana, I don't even know. That was a KTA store-bought banana. Sacred. Sometimes we put ava in. There's so many people that I'm meeting nowadays that are going out there and doing the most amazingly stupid things. Heavy amounts of drugs to speed up the spiritual process. Ayahuasca, DMT. And most of you have ever heard me do a talk on it. I come off as being very opposed to it because usually when I hear that they've done it, it's usually without guidance. And it's usually as a shortcut. Dave and I were talking about DMT. DMT drains the pineal gland, pituitary gland of all serotonin. That's not good, no. It basically takes your, I want to keep saying pineal. Pituitary. takes your pituitary gland and drains it of all serotonin. It drops it down to zero. It gives you a euphoric experience. And if you have baggage, it lights all of your baggage up. You guys, you have 4 bodies. Have you ever heard this before? Spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. And you have a couple times. Any culture that worked with a substance to open up the body had someone standing there guiding the other 3 bodies at the same time. That make sense? So people that are out there doing this to circumvent and to shortcut are negating the whole integrative, holistic mind, body, spirit, and they're just trying to jack into the God center of the brain to speed things up. Now, having said that, we're going to do Ava tonight. We're going to do an Ava ceremony tonight. Some of you may need more than others. Level 4As, those of you who are assisting, you are invited to it. You will have to recover and assist. But you guys were up here and had nothing to do. So I thought I would have you come along. Dan's like, why didn't we do Ava when I was assisting? Because you were the only one. I needed you sober. But we're going to do Ava tonight. So we're going to take a break in the afternoon, and we're going to do it to align our chakras. We're going to do it to align spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. We're going to do it during meditation. Trish asked me, what's the point in Ava? I say, I can't answer that question. She said, maybe I didn't ask you correctly. What do you do Ava for? I said, I totally understood you. I can't answer the question because it depends on what you do with the Ava. So a Tua took Ava before he did his graduation ceremony to get him in the zone so that he would do the hula with perfection. Does that make sense? You could do Ava before doing certain classes like Moi Moi Ah to enter into lucid dreaming instantaneously. But then the Ava is for the intention of opening up lucid dreaming. You guys all with me on this? So we're going to do Ava to open up the physical body. And for what purpose? Well, that's what we're going to set the intention for energetically. That's the spiritual body. So we'll use some symbols, meditate on a couple of symbols. And then mentally, we will set a unified intention of the experience. Emotionally, hopefully you have already done some release work. If not, there will be a break before Ava. You can go do Ho'oponopono. And then physically, we do the Ava through ceremony, and we meditate, and the purpose of it is to align the 4 bodies. That's why we're doing it tonight. But that's not the only purpose of Ava. Ava was a physiological substance that helped the body enter into the meditative state. So what purpose is the meditation for makes the Ava become that. Do you guys all get that? I'm not teaching you this to go run your own Ava ceremonies. You have no permission for that. But you could get Ava and take it home and use it during meditation. Absolutely. What was that? A KTA? No, there's a place called the Kai store. You can actually Google it, Kai. And he sells about 300 bags of Fijian Ava, which is a very good strain. And he said he used to bring in all the Hawaiian local bags and sell about 19 bags a year. And he says that he has a direct supply chain to the Fijian Ava, and he sells about 300 bags a year now. They're $19 a pop. And Karen in the back will put down where... Okay, Karen, give her your name, give her some money, she'll get you guys some Ava. But no, I'm okay with you guys doing this, but like any substance, I need you to understand, if you drink alcohol every day, eventually what happens to your tolerance? It builds up. So this is not meant to be abused. It is meant to be used for ceremony. You could do maybe during full moon or new moon, like if you're setting an intention. I'll talk a lot more about that. One of the things that I definitely wanted to take you guys through is the process of doing it, because I'm seeing more and more people getting into, oh, Kumu, someone has some ayahuasca for me and I'm going to go do it. And my response is not a fucking chance. Yeah, I've said to some of you, no. You do that, don't call me for cleanup. I have had to, with a couple of students, do some energetic cleanup because they went and did these things with other people with no guidance. And you don't know what's in these substances either. So the whole purpose of it is to help to open up the physical body. So I'm going to take you guys through it. I'll see how you do. All jokes aside, if it works and we do well, I would look at making it a regular part of level 4. I would making it be a regular part of what we do because it is a part of our lineage. To do Ava and to do it the right way is a part of our lineage, and so I'm okay with that. For those of you that have your own religions, you know, it's not an alcohol. It is more of a meditative substance. It's not a hallucinogenic, so you're not going to see things. It's more of a muscle relaxant. And in fact, people who worked the fields would come home and use Ava to relax the body. It relaxes the muscles, it's an anti-inflammatory, and it relaxes the physical body and puts it into such a calm, relaxed state that you go into meditation faster. So some people in the Hawaiian culture would use Ava at night to relax the physical body and sleep better. It's known to help cure insomnia without any addiction to it. And so, yeah, it was used physically in the Hawaiian culture. It was used as a physical substance. When alcohol came over, a lot of the kupuna, the elders, were adamantly opposed to alcohol because alcohol can bring the demons out in you. Have you ever seen someone change when they're drunk? I have. I have totally changed when you have too much alcohol, like switch gets flipped. That doesn't happen with Ava. If you drink too much, your lips go numb and you are incomprehensible. So even if you did become a demon, you would sound like blah, 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 blah. No, because your lips go completely numb. Your teeth go numb. Don't try to chant after Ava. Chant before Ava, not after. Isn't that true, Karen? Lesson number 1, chant pre-Ava, not post-Ava. Vowels after Ava is horrible. Horrible. But no, the culture here in Hawaii would use Ava for physiological reasons. And so when we would use it in ceremony, it's what intention are you putting energetically, mentally, and emotionally into the ceremony. But you can use Ava. Tristan and I have a bag of Ava in the pantry in California. She's always asking, when are we going to do it? So now we'll do it more often. And what we'll do during the level 4 classes, I'll share with you when are appropriate times for you to do it. When are there appropriate times based on what's going on around you? Like new moon, full moon, what can you do? And give you guys a protocol for it. And you guys let me know how you do with it. You let me know how it goes. And I know some of you are already given the opportunity to go out there and teach. I would like you to hold back teaching people what to do with Ava, because there's a whole set that you would get and there's a whole process to how you do the Ava and mix it up and whatnot. So for now, it's for you guys. That's one of the things that we're going to be doing up here at Volcano. We're not doing Ava in the volcano. No. That's a different ceremony. Depending on the weather, we'll either be doing it where the bulk of us are staying, at where Elizabeth is staying, or here in this room, and then having the opportunity to connect outdoors. It's all going to be based on weather and where we can all fit. So part of Halau, to me, is to help continue to feed you guys with new things, new information. And my big theme, I always share with the Haumana at level 4, my big theme for this workshop is helping you guys shift from just thinking you're awake to being awake. I have met a lot of people recently in trainings who have learned how to speak consciousness. They've read every book by Deepak Chopra. They've been to every Tony Robbins training. They've seen the Dalai Lama YouTube channel twice. And they've learned the powerful word gratitude and acceptance. And I've heard people come up to me during like practitioner trainings saying, oh, thank you so much for sharing your Hawaiian lineage. I studied with so-and-so. That's so beautiful. Yeah, I'm overweight. I'm broke. I hate the person I'm in a relationship with. My family's terrible. I'm not in any way, shape, or form where I want to be in personal growth. And I'm just totally grateful that I'm alive and I have acceptance that that's the path. They use the teachings to circumvent working on themselves. There is a danger to spiritual teachings I need to share with you guys. I'll go double check where this saying comes from. Where did I read it? I just read it recently. It was in the book that I'll never recommend. I know exactly what page to go check it out on. I can see it in my mind. There's a spiritual teacher who says spiritual teachings are quite often used to circumvent having to work on yourself. I want you to think about this for a moment. Spiritual teachings are quite often used to circumvent needing to work on yourself. John Wellwood, he was a psychologist who studied spirituality, said it's a widespread tendency to use spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep or avoid facing unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, and unfinished developmental tasks. So good. John, I think it's Wellwood, W-E-L-W-O-O-D. I love to give credit where credit is due. That's a great quote, isn't it? It's a widespread tendency to use spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep or avoid facing unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, and unfinished developmental tasks. When I read it, I had a full body shiver. Because I was like, I'm seeing that happen again. Saw it happening 15 years ago. Topher and I would get up on stage and share with people at trainings, just saying you're at cause doesn't actually mean you're at cause. I'm broke, but I'm at cause for it. Then you're not at cause. You're using cause and effect as a reason for not dealing with your monetary issues. I'm unhappy, but I'm totally empowered. No, you're not. If you were empowered, you'd be happy. It's a widespread tendency to use spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep or avoid facing unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, and unfinished developmental tasks. Yeah.
It's perfect. It's exactly capturing that.
But see, the funny part about his satire of dressing up very spiritual and talking spiritual, but it's all a bunch of bullshit, is he's making fun of what a lot of people do. And that is they learn the word acceptance. It's just a part of my path. But no, and they even put their hands in placator. They even put their hands, right, and those of you who have done trainers training, right, they put their hands in full placator and they're like, I'm just accepting what the Lord has given me. When I hear that, it just, I get this little switch that gets flipped inside me. Because you're saying literally that you're so important that in the entire universe, the creator of everything that exists has decided to fuck with you. Like you're that important in the grander scheme of this 14.5 billion year old universe that the creator is messing with your livelihood. The creator doesn't care about you. Does, higher self cares about you, but doesn't. No, seriously. I mean, at the end of the day, if you ask your higher self or God, should I go move to Israel? They're going to say, sure, go for it. Should I move to Kona? Sure, go for it. It's that level of thinking is non-judgmental. At that level of thinking, there is total acceptance. Buddha turned to source and said, I'm going to leave my kids and go inspire millions. I swear I wanted to write a book called Buddha is a Deadbeat Dad. Someone already wrote it. When I came up with that just off the top of my head, I went and Googled it, and someone else had already written it because from his ex-wife and kids' perspective, he's an absentee dad who wasn't paying child support. Buddha skipped out on his family. Isn't that interesting to think about? Higher self and the creator didn't judge. That's what I'm saying, doesn't care. I don't mean as in like hates you or wants the worst for you. It's just there at that level, there is total acceptance. And so you wake up to spiritual ideas, you connect with that, and then you think consciously you're supposed to do the exact same thing, but you're not. If I want people to show up to Huna, I'm supposed to sell and market them. If I want to perpetuate this halau, I need to feed the workshop. I don't say, dear God, just bring people to the training. It doesn't work that way. You guys all with me on that? And if I say to Source, oh, I'm just going to leave it up to you if people will show up. Source is going to be like, cool. No one's going to show, but high five. You're going to have a really cool training by yourself. And if you say to Source, I am going to go total values level orange and 5 and sell everyone on Huna, Source is going to be like, high five, do it. That's what I mean by don't care. Acceptance is cool, and there's a right place and right time for that. We'll go over that. There's 5 values that I want to share with you that are going to be over and over again while we are up here. They are the values of our halau, and they're not going to be shocking words. These aren't going to be new concepts or ideas. These may be things that you have heard from time to time. The first one is ponno. I began to think about what are the values of our company, the empowerment partnership, what are the values of our halau, and these are kind of in order of importance. Ponno to me means integrity. It means practicing what you teach. It means congruency. It means honesty. Ponno doesn't mean that you're best friends with the person. Ponno doesn't mean that you aren't best friends with the person. Ponno means that you're right with your path. Ponno is something that you can't, I can talk about it over and over again. I can tell you what techniques help you to get there. You know when you're ponno. You know when you're ponno, when you can look in the mirror and you feel good about what you see looking back at you. You know you're ponno. When someone can come up to you and say, so many of you, I love you dearly. I've had people come up to me and go, this is what we should do. And I'm just like, no. Some of you have heard that from me very directly. A student comes up to me at the practitioner training. I paid good money to be here, like $97. I need to meet with you for coffee early tomorrow morning and pick your brain. No. Like, but what are you doing? Not meeting with you. And I did it in such a loving way. They were like, oh, okay. I'm just ponno with it. I'm not going to do it. My exercise is more important than meeting with you over coffee. I don't even drink coffee, except in Italy. No, because you have to. They throw you out otherwise. And I crank the coffee there, big time. Ponno is you're right with who you are. Ponno is you have unwavering congruency. I love that term. Unwavering congruency. The next big value of our halau is ho'o mana loa. Ho'o mana means empowerment. when you put the word loa on it, it makes it either permanent or it makes it expansive, depending on the context that you're putting it in. So Halau Ho'omanaloa, the school of permanent spiritual wisdom. Ho'omanaloa is more of a spiritual empowerment because it transcends time. The word loa, expansive, permanent. So the mountain that is that way, Mauna Loa, because unless you have the most perfect, actually in even the clearest day, you can't see the ends of the volcano. No matter where you are, you cannot see the beginning and end of Mauna Loa. Because once you get to be able to see one side of where it ends, you no longer can see the other side. So they named it Mauna Loa, Loa, expansive mountain. You can't see where it ends. Permanent spiritual wisdom. Halau Ho'omanaloa, the school of permanent spiritual wisdom, permanent spiritual empowerment. Those are the two best translations for it. I did Pule before I named the Halau. I was going to name it Halau Huna, but that means the secret hidden Halau. I didn't want it hidden. I thought you guys wouldn't be able to find it. Where did it go? People ask me, why didn't you name it, Halau Huna? I'm like, that's like hidden school. Yeah, it doesn't work from a translation perspective. Karen was there, Elizabeth, Donna. We were doing our field trip, which was kind of like 3 days of what we're doing over the next 2 days. And I kept having this dream, and it felt right, it felt ponno to name the Halau. And I had called Nani Naope, not Nani, the one that works in our office, that's her nickname, but Nani Naope, who actually came and taught Hawaiian language a few times. I just saw her. Her mom passed away. But no, she was in hospice for 3 years, and they expected it. So I just saw Nani when we went to the funeral and got to see her. It was really nice. And she's like, I need to come see you again. And she misses coming to the workshops. Loved it. Did levels 1, 2, and 3. Did prac, master prac. She's the one that I wasn't having an easy time accepting the term kumu. And she told me to deal with my shit. She's the one, she called me. She's like, I'm going to keep calling you Kumu. And you have techniques. You'll be okay. Amazing woman. I called her up and I said, here are the 3 names that keep coming to me. And she said, it's not my place to tell you, and here are the translations. And she saved the best for last. Halau Ho'omanaloa. And we were on our field trip, and we were driving up to Mauna Kea, and an owl, which was Uncle George's aumakua, started following the car. I pulled over, it flew around the car and landed on the post opposite of the road and just stared into the car. I'm like, maybe I should name the Halau today. So we kept driving, and on the stretch of highway where you never see nene, there were 2 nene. Just sitting off to the side of the road, like looking at us as we drove by. Karen's even like, you don't ever see nene here. And then we drove all the way up to Mauna Kea, and where there's usually a sign that doesn't allow you to put an offering down at the highest altar that is in the Polynesian culture, there was no sign there. So we walked, I opened up the realm, to which a couple of the students that were following with me felt their crown chakras basically explode. Put the offering down, and then on the drive back down, we saw a white rainbow during the day, which you're only supposed to see at night. At this point, Karen was like crying, and you know how Karen gets all emotional. We all wish we had a camera and had taken a picture of it. Didn't even think to do it. We were just in the moment. And we went down to Pu'uhuluhulu, and I circled everyone up, and I named the Halau. Elizabeth, of course, because of astrology, marked the exact time and location and did astrological readings on it. The Halau has a chart and everything. And if I had named it 1 minute later, it would have really screwed things up. So just like me, I waited to the last possible minute to do it. Didn't even know. And that gave us Halau. Halau means that you have fellow people that you can go to. It means that you have a home, that you have an ohana. It was a big decision for me because that means that I am a kumu. Although I had been given the title by uncle, although I had been given permission to do what I do, it meant now that I had a responsibility for you guys. Some of you in here have called me, texted me, emergency, I need this, this, and this. I'll drop everything and help out. At 4 a.m. I'll do it. That's okay. I responded. It was a big responsibility because it means I'm responsible for your spiritual path and you're responsible for your part of moving down the path. I can't move you down the path. When a kumu has haumana, though, I'm responsible for you. I've never told someone, no, don't go study with someone else. 99 times out of 100, I'm like, go for it. And I'm just always giving a reminder, what's your path? If Huna is I come here to strengthen my existing religion or spiritual path, that's okay. And as long as I know that, I go, awesome, go do it and make sure it fits with your path. If Huna is your path, then my guidance for you is to make sure that the things that you're doing out there are adding to what you're doing. Because path jumping from path to path to path is circumventing you dealing with you. If you feel stagnant on your path, looking for another kumu won't kickstart you. I assure you it won't. It will set you back to square one. Oh, but this kumu has browner skin. Cool. No, I had someone say that to me, Sachiko. I'm like, okay. I'll go get suntan. Sachiko says, go get suntan. I'll go do an indoor tanning salon and be better for you. No, but I'm pono with who I am. I'm like, go for it. This person came back around. I didn't learn as much. I thought they were a descendant of Kamehameha. They just said they knew a descendant of Kamehameha. I misunderstood them. It's okay. People got to figure stuff out on their own. Halau for me is a responsibility. Halau for me is I'm responsible to help you guys on your path. Ho'omanaloa is more spiritual empowerment. The third word that I want you guys to ponder during your lunch break is kina ole. Kina ole. I need to make sure I get this right. There's a right way to say this, and so I'm going to say it the right way the first time. Kina ole. Doing the right thing in the right way, at the right time, in the right place, for the right reason, with the right feeling, the first time. Kim, I got doing the right thing. Doing the right thing in the right way, at the right time, in the right place, for the right reason, with the right feeling, the first time. Some people hear it and they think it means being perfect. I disagree. It means doing your best. One more time. Kina ole, doing the right thing in the right way, at the right time, in the right place, for the right reason, with the right feeling, the first time. It's a pretty cool Hawaiian word. There's not really a good English translation.
Simple and pure.
Yeah, it's just one word, describes so much, right? And I will tell you that it has nothing to do with perfection. It means doing the best you can with the resources you have. It means being your best. Agnes is such a firecracker. She's got so much fire. And she came up to me and she started talking to me about, I paid to go into a volcano. Who's going to give me my $25? I'm like, don't you start with me right now. She hadn't even said hi to me yet. And I was doing kina ole. I had to stop her because I'm in the volcano feeling so much energy that Triss is blowing down the back of my shirt because I'm sweating. And she came over with a matchbox and was going psht, psht, psht. And I was a big stick of dynamite at that point. Not in a bad way, just so much energy I was feeling this morning when we all first got together. And so in the best way that I possibly could, I said, Agnes, go talk to Deanne. Go away from me. And she says, I want to say hi to you first. And then she gave me a hug, and I gave her a hug, and I said, go see Deanne. And that's called kina ole. I could have said it better. I could have listened to her, but in that moment, I had to be ponno. I had to express who I am. Kina ole doesn't mean letting someone run over you. It means having boundaries and expressing them the best way you possibly can the moment you need to. But doing the best you can. If you're feeling fiery in that moment and fire comes out in your expression, then have acceptance with it. Come to Halau enough and you will see me get fiery one day. It happens. It can happen. It can totally happen. Kina ole means doing the best you can. It doesn't mean being perfect. It means doing the best you can. Sometimes you guys come up to me and ask me a question. I say, I can't answer you now. I need to think about it. Because I don't feel like it's the best time to answer the question. Or sometimes I'm not in the right space to answer the question. The fourth one is aloha. You have to put all of these together. You cannot just pick one. But you knew aloha had to be on the list, right? No, I'm not going to go into the deeper teaching of aloha. You'll hear it at least twice. You'll hear it in the level 2 class if you're in there. You'll hear it at the end. Aloha is important. Think of the deeper meaning of aloha. But also for me, I want to add in there having fun. Joy, fun, happiness. If I'm not having fun, I ain't going to do it. Those of you who had the privilege of meeting Uncle George and John Kaimikawa, they had fun being spiritual. They took this stuff very seriously. They would be able to flip a switch and you knew it was time to get serious. Like when I turned to Karen this morning and I was like, Karen, we got 20 minutes. All she had to do was take one look at me and go, okay, got it. And tea leaf cleaning went into overdrive. Karen, food hit the ground, got to pass over. Okay, got it. She knew things needed to get done. Yeah, I can have fun, and I can also know when it's time to be serious. Even in the times of being serious, though, you'll see a smile on my face and a joy. You have to bring that joy into your life. I know that this word is a part of the deeper teaching of aloha, and yet for me, it is one of the 5 values, lokahi. Lokahi, in this instance, meaning unity, togetherness, our connection. The thought just popped into my head. I was checking out a site that I want to take you guys to, a specific location. And as we were walking back out, a group of people were walking in, and one of them had on a shirt that Keith had been wearing and had a hat that I've seen Keith wear before and almost looked like Keith's doppelganger. But when he got closer, he was not as good looking. No one is as good looking as Keith. When I got closer, I'm like, oh my God, that's not Keith. But from a distance. And Tris even said, wouldn't that be funny if this was some of your students walking in? I said, no, it wouldn't be. I'd turn them around. And she's like, I know. If it had been you guys, I would have been like, you would have seen the eyes come out of my top. Because I hadn't yet gone to the sites. And so if you're there, we're not lokahi. Do you guys all get that? My father had a saying in business, anything less than 100% support is sabotage. Anything less than 100% support is sabotage. That's true in a family, that's true in a company, that's true in a relationship. That's lokahi. Lokahi is 100% support. Here's how John Ryan and Deanne are on the road. I see something with this group. Here's what we're going to do. Both of them. I have no idea why you're doing it, but let's go. 100% support. And then as we're doing it, John will usually lean over and go, explain to me what you saw and why we're doing this. Later. Got it. Keep going. That's support. I've been working with him for 10 years, so he trusts me when I get that little tingly feeling and I'm like, okay, we got to do something. He's learned how to have a level of trust and faith with that. So many people come up and they're like, I want to work for the Empowerment Partnership. And I think sometimes you probably actually don't. People who think that they want to work for the company actually don't. Because we live this or you don't live with us. The bar is so high in the company. I would love to get the bar for Halau that high. I don't feel like I can do that yet. And I want to keep moving the bar up, higher and higher. And lokahi is one that I want to spend a little bit of time with before we take our lunch break. Lokahi doesn't mean blind obedience. I hate that. And those of you who have been around for a long time, you know that I don't enjoy the groupies. Some of you still tease me about the time that I got spotted on the volcano. Sachiko, you remember? Good Lord. You were there. We were going out to Hale Ma'u and someone came running down the path. Oh, Dr. Matt. And all the level 4s were like, they were laughing because it's the least of the things that I enjoy about doing what I do. And so word got back round to the staff in the office, and I didn't know any of this was going to happen, so I roll into the office, and the door flies open, and Mahea, who is Auntie Bernie's granddaughter, so she's in Naope, opens up the door, sees me, I get out of my car, and she goes, oh my God, Dr. Matt! And I'm like, I'm killing a student. She's like, I heard. She's like, oh my God, that must have been so funny. She's like, I wish I could have seen that. And that's the least of the things that I enjoy about doing what I do. I don't enjoy that part. It doesn't feed me like ulu, you know what I mean? And so my students who know me really well got a really good laugh with that because I was like, yeah, okay. So I'm saying this to you guys because sometimes people hear me say 100% support, anything less is sabotage, and they think I'm telling people like to just blindly follow anything that's said. And I totally disagree with that. If you don't understand something, you should say, I don't understand it. There's a right time and a right place to ask me, and many of you have. I don't get why we're doing this, or why this, or how come I have to ask you this question, or how come we can't do this, or why kapu? Even someone who's been my student for over a decade, I don't fully understand Halau. Okay, cool, let me explain it to you. 100% support means if you're going to be a part of the Halau, that you adhere to what we say are the values. If you're sitting there going, I can't be pono, then don't be here. It's just that simple. I don't like this rule with the Hawaiian culture. Well, you guys saw a level 3. How many of you were in there when I had to ask that level 3 to leave? You guys were in the room when that happened. And she was like, well, my higher self says it's okay to do it. That's not how it works. Totally misunderstanding the use of higher self. Well, I feel that I can do whatever I want with the symbols. All right, enough being said. You don't need to be here anymore. That's it. And it was a huge lesson for me, because when I did that and the students that were in the room saw that, and how I was able to just ask her to leave in a nice, calm way, and then look at the group and say, everyone be nice to her and give her aloha. Man, I had 3 grown men start crying. One of them came up to me like, I need to learn how to do that with my business. Because I have people that work for me that torpedo my company all the time, and I should really get rid of them. And how you did it is what I need to go home and do. And I'm like, yeah, it's just that simple. It's not in a mean way. At this level, I want us to be lokahi, because when we are, we defy not Facebook apps, but the apps that say it's 100% guaranteed to be raining by noon. The app was wrong. And yes, it may still rain, and maybe I should knock on wood. I don't know. Someone knock on wood on the ground for me? It's got a whole wooden floor. But my point is that we trust. We trust each other. We have faith. That we practice the teachings, not the ones that we pick and choose to practice, that we practice all of them. And that if you don't understand something, that you come ask me. And that if you see something that you're not pono with, or that doesn't feed your spirit, or that you don't think is the best, or done with aloha, or is good for the halau, that we talk about it, that we make it pono. It's important to me that you guys remain awake, because life can get monotonous. This is the 55th Huna Workshop. I promise you, even the most sacred spiritual teachings can get monotonous. You teach Huna enough times, it gets to be, routine can put you into trance, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, that puts you into a trance. It's a form of hypnosis. Picking up a fruit and transferring it to a bowl, and picking up a fruit and transferring it to a bowl, puts you into trance. Doing a routine over and over again. So we have to learn how to stay awake. Oaka, ho'omaka, to awaken, to open your eyes. It's important to do that. So these 5, pono, ho'omanaloa, kinaole, aloha, and lokahi. Any questions on them? Is that a fly you were shooing away?
What does this fly on?
Kim.
So, kinoole,
Yes.
how do you know? Is that you know when you feel pono? That you've done the right thing in the right way, at the right time, in the right way, all of that.
So how do you know, how do you do kinaole? Well, I know when I haven't done my best. I always look back at it and go, I was doing the best I could in that moment, and then I practice the other techniques to clean it up. So this is going to go on the recording. I think Ethan will be fine with it. He gave me permission to share it. No, it's about when he called me a dick. Oh, we were in Italy, and I was making a joke. This was 3 years ago. Just me, Ethan, and Skylar, and a couple of kids from the neighborhood were there. And we were all joking around, and I said something, and Ethan's like, Dad, don't be a dick. And switch went click. And Ethan and I have a really good relationship, and I went into dad mode. And I felt a little bit of a fire build up inside me. Because my then 16-year-old, or 15, however old he was, called me a dick. So I walked over, and I leaned into his ear so no one else could hear. This is where I thought I was doing the best I could. Because I didn't kill him, number one. Number two, I didn't do it in front of everyone. I just said, I need to go to the bathroom. And Ethan was already white like a sheet because the moment he said it, he knew I'm dead. And I walked over and I leaned into his ear and I said, if you ever call me a dick in front of people again, I will fucking end you. I think those are my exact words. And I took a deep breath and I walked into the bathroom and I did release. And I came back out and I sat down. And the next morning I woke up and I went, I could have been less intense, but in the moment, I think I was doing the best I can. I think a lot of dads would have probably just either taken a swing at their kid in front of other kids now. In front of Skylar, okay, ha, I'm going to scold him out loud. But these other kids were around. I'm like, fucking shit's not going to happen ever. And so I feel like at the time I was doing the best I could, but Kim, I woke up the next morning, I was like, I'm going to end you, maybe a little intense. We were in Italy. I thought I could have gotten away with it. We're in the countryside. They had pigs. Pigs eat everything. I wanted to be a cop. No evidence left. Get a pig. So the next morning we woke up and Ethan, tail between the legs, comes downstairs and he's like, I'm sorry, Dad, please forgive me. And I'm like, please forgive me. I was a little intense. He's like, no, man, I really thought you were going to end me. The fact that you didn't, I knew you were doing good. So I don't know, Kim, in the moment, it is what it is. I have to have acceptance and gratitude. However it happened is how it happened. Okay, so the next morning I wake up and I go, you know what? I could have been maybe a little bit more relaxed about it. I even thought maybe I should have said something out loud, but in a calm way. You can always second guess yourself. So we just said, I forgive you, you forgive me. We got punno and everything's cool. And I use it as a teaching example. Well, that's the only time I bring it up. I've never brought it up in front of him. You remember the time you called me a dick and I almost killed you? That's called kina ole. Sometimes I look back and I go, I could have done it better. I could have said it better. I could have. But at that time, was I doing the best I could? And the answer is yes. Yeah, it's not about being perfect. I felt in that moment he needed to hear what he needed to hear, so he heard it. And then the next morning, all right, let's clean it up. And we did. Does that make sense? All things being equal, if I'm in the right space, I will slow things down. I will give, to make sure that I practice kina ole, I do what Uncle George taught me, and as I do my best to take a breath before I speak, because that gives my heart and my na'au time to weigh in. Uncle would always say, he'd say, you have such a quick tongue, because I would always have a comeback for everything that he would say. And he said, one day that's going to get you in trouble. He said, with me. And then when he was all nice and calm, he said, when you begin to teach, he said, you have to take a breath sometimes. He said, you'll be faster than your students. Not smarter. I have Mercury in Aries. Those of you who did astrology last time. I have Mercury in Aries, which means I run circles around the other 11 signs. Oh, but I have Mercury and Leo. Slow. Mercury and Sag, you got to think about your purpose too much. Aries just fucking goes for it, man. My mouth was sometimes ahead of everything else. And Uncle would say, you got to breathe. You have to. And sometimes the first words out of my mouth are you ready for the answer? And I learned that one. Mama Mitzi's asked me a few times and I'm like, are you ready for the answer? No. Okay, cool. We'll come back around. I learned a couple of lines, Kim, that helps me to be kina ole. Uncle George gave me a Hawaiian name that I think at the time was very very much who I was, but also I didn't have a level of control over it. And Kumu Etua gave me another name, which I think either helped to balance it out or to help to ground it. But at the time, he would always say to me, I asked him, why did you give me this name? I said, I don't want it. And he would always say, you have to learn how to channel it. He said, that is the name. And I questioned it. And he said, that is the name that came to him. And he said, that is what you do. And he said, and you have to learn how to control it. He said, that's a part of your lesson, or it will consume you. So he wasn't always at his best, Uncle. So I got to watch a person, I got to live with a person and see a person go through a whole bunch who was a spiritual leader for so many, but he was just human. So I think Kina Ole is you're being the best that you can. But you have to remember that the other ones still count, right? Being pono to yourself. When Tristan and I first got together and we were talking about getting, mental and emotional release, these techniques into the Chopra Center, she said to me, she's like, you get on the Chopra Center stage, you can't swear. And I'm like, well, fuck them then. And she said, no, I'm not joking. I said, neither am I. Because if I feel like dropping an F-bomb, it's going to come out. And you'll never be on the stage. I'll never be on the stage. I'm going to be me. Because I'm pono with who I am. And so when you're pono with who you are, and you're doing your best to operate from spirit, you know that sometimes you're not going to hit it, you're not going to be in your sweet spot with your answer to your students, with your answers to your kids. Kino Ole is begin to practice things where you aren't doing well, like where you're not being your best. Practice things to slow it down a little bit so you have time to let your higher self and your heart, your pu'uvai and your na'au, needs time to check in sometimes. Does that help? And I always feel that if you're pono and you're operating from aloha, that you can wake up the next morning and go, I could have done it better, and everything's going to be okay. Because I'm being me, and it's from my heart. Does that help?
Yeah, that connects to me. It connects Ho'omana Loa, like just forever growing, forever learning.
Yeah.
Forever becoming.
Mm-hmm. And you've been around for 14 years now? Even how I've calmed down over the past decade. Sometimes. We're recording this. Yeah, no, thank God. I have calmed down. Oh, Agnes, I used to be way more fiery. Now my fire is channeled a lot more.
It's more precise.
I'm more precise with my aim now. It used to just be a full-blown explosion. No, never that bad. Now it's a laser. I've learned how to focus. Yeah, Donna.
What I'm hearing, I'm thinking, there was a time before Huna, and that Kina Ole applies the cleanup process as well. That waiting for the right time, the right moment to do the right thing. That sometimes you have to wait, I'm thinking with kids, that wait for them to be in the right place.
Sometimes you do have to, yes, for Kina Ole, sometimes you have to wait for other people to be in the right place.
Kina Ole can apply to the cleanup process as well.
Ethan had a girlfriend. You guys have heard the story. Ethan had a girlfriend 2 summers ago, didn't go to Italy. I saw Kilo. I saw down the path. I knew what was going to happen. I did my best to warn him. He insisted on staying back. He got dumped. He begged, cried, pleaded. He was stuck in Honolulu with his mom. He did not have a blissful summer. And this past summer, when we went to Italy together, the two of us sat down. He's 18 now. I have a man-child. I know he's man now. I don't have 2 kids anymore. I have 1 kid and 1 man-kid. Young man. Okay, thank you for correcting me. Young man. I have man-child. And he sat down with me in Italy and he said, I missed being here last year. I said, I missed you. And this was the first time we had talked about it. There was no like, oh, Ethan, this is where we went to without you. You really fucked up. None of that. None of that. And he just sat down and he said, thank you so much for bringing me this year. I'm so sorry for not being here. I'm like, totally forgiven, dude. Glad that you're here. And I said, you understand why I didn't drag you here or anything? He said, oh God, if you had dragged me here and she had dumped me while I was in Italy, he said, I would have hated you for the rest of my life. And it took a year for him to figure that out. So Kina Ole, I was doing the best I could, which was, I'm leaving you behind, buddy. I'm gonna hit enter, your ticket will be gone. It was miles, so I'm like.
I'm getting Pono with it for the time until he was ready.
Yep.
This last summer.
Yep.
You being Pono what helped? It seems like that's what helps.
So you can't force anyone else to do something. At the end of the day, you only got you. What does Kumu Etua say? Don't worry about the dancer to your left. Don't worry about the one to the right. Focus on the one in the middle. Focus on the one in the middle. Stop correcting people to the left and to the right. I have to walk a fine line because I get to be Kumu in this lifetime. So for whatever reason, I get to help you guys with course corrections. I still ask for permission. Tris and I are in a relationship and I still say to her, do I have permission to send some energy? She sometimes looks at me funny and goes, yes, but I ask. I don't presuppose. I ask permission, right? You can't force someone else to do something. It doesn't matter what your relationship is with that person. I have reached out to my dad. I have called him. I have emailed him. Dave still has a connection with him. I've sent messages through Dave. There's just nothing I can do except be pono with myself. It is what it is. When I heard that he had gotten sick, first thing I did was I was ready to cancel everything and go be there with him. Even if I just stood outside and wasn't allowed in, at least I knew that I went. But that's what I got to do for me. I admit it's selfish. I'm doing it for me. When my kids look at me and go, how come he's not around? I got to say, well, that's on him. He's missing out with you guys. I had to have that discussion with my kids because Skylar was like in tears. What's wrong with me? Why doesn't he want to see me? What did I do? Well, I'm like, oh no, it had nothing to do with you. She knows about cause and effect and empowerment. I'm like, you can blame it on me. She's like, I can't blame it on you. Well, you can't blame it on yourself. I said, and I don't want this to become a let's bash your grandfather. It is what it is. This is what he wants. And so I had to teach my kids that you can be the most amazing kids. I think I got a couple of really cool kids. And I'm like, if he got to meet you, he would feel bad about how he had missed out. That was my only reframe for them. But I said to them, I said, you can only be pono with yourself. Yeah? You can't make someone else do something. The thing that I started saying, Donna, was if there was anyone that you could make do something, it would be your kids. No, because 50% of their DNA is yours. So if you could control someone, it would be something that was your own creation. Just think about it logically, right? You made half of them. You should at least control half of them. And any parent in the room will sit there and go, it doesn't fucking work that way at all. If anything, I have the least amount of control over them. So if you can't control your own kids, you can't control anyone else. Only you.
I think the lesson that has been the most important thing that I've learned, well, no, I can't say most important, but in this conversation is when you've taught us about, you said, when you're pono with yourself, that the situation then, it's like a wave that goes out.
Yep.
The situation becomes pono. And so I'm thinking when you're talking about the Kina Ole, that you realize, oh wow, I could have handled that situation better, but I get pono.
Right.
And eventually, I want to say the kids get in line, and then the grandkids, I mean, it begins to trickle out.
So for those of you listening on the recording, what Donna basically said is that when you're pono with yourself, it trickles out. It does. It does. When I've asked people to leave the workshop, which I've had to do a couple of times, I've had people not be pono with it, and if I'm pono with it, it tends to trickle out. People go, there must be something I'm not seeing, hearing, or feeling, because man, he's really pono with the decision. And anytime someone's come up to me and said, I'm thinking about doing X, Y, Z, are you pono with it? Not really, then don't do it. And if you're pono with it, it trickles down. And so my kids eventually just sat there and went, oh, it is the way that it is with Papa, with Grandpa, whatever he would want to be called. And that's just that, because I don't get flustered about it. I'm just like, I love my dad. He's awesome. This is the way that it is. You know, Skylar has a friend whose dad packed up in the middle of the night and left, and she hasn't seen her own dad for 3 years or heard anything from him. So my daughter has a contrast frame, which is, you know, people just walking. So we practice gratitude in a very clear and concise way in my family to be pono with what we have. And it's not a surface level gratitude of, oh, you know, everything's fucked up in my life, but at least I'm alive. I have gratitude. I have gratitude, there's oxygen. No, it's why are we grateful that we have the time that we have together? Because I see other families that don't and they're still happy and making it work. Because we're lucky to have what it is that we have, and this is the path that we chose. I've said to both my kids, you want me to stop teaching and be home and be a stay-at-home dad? Totally. Both of them, no, please don't. Kim's laughing in a good way. Skylar already talking about what position she's going to have with the company. She's 10. She's like, no, Daddy, you can't stop teaching. What would happen to my role with the Empowerment Partnership? I'm like, what role? You're 10. Graduate from middle school first. Ethan, I'm going to get a business degree and I'll start running the company. Well, I already have someone to run the company, buddy. He's like, oh, I'll help her. No, they feel that this is so much a part of their path. And yeah, they miss me dearly when I'm gone. And so when I'm back, we express gratitude for being connected with each other. See, when you're pono, how many parents have said to me, oh my God, your kid's gonna be fucked up. You travel all the time, you're never around. And I'm like, my kids are totally cool. And all of you have met my kids. Considering how much I travel, I think they're doing pretty good. I know parents that are home all the time and their kids are more fucked up. You know what I mean? Maybe my kids would be screwed up if I was home all the time. Yes. Be careful. If they were in the room, they would laugh and say yes to. And so we make jokes about it. Yeah, but no. If I wasn't pono with my path and what I do, kids would see through that, students would see through it, and they would find the things that you're not pono with. You could condense all of these into the word pono. I mean, you really could. And I think these 5 really explain what is the essence of our halau. Every halau is different. But this is the essence of what we have, the gift that we get to experience.